Hey there, and welcome to the People Who Help People podcast. This is the spot for HR and people ops pros who are all about building better businesses by putting people first. We chat with founders and experts who've been there, done that, and are generous enough to share what actually works. Thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hello again. Today I'm happy to be speaking with Nancy Connery and Lorisa Flatley Stevens, CEO and Human Resource Manager at Connery Consulting, about becoming the obvious choice in a crowded consulting market. Connery Consulting is a boutique HR consulting firm with over 2 decades of people ops experience dedicated to creating value for organizations by fostering strong people and culture strategies. Nancy founded Connery Consulting, and Lorisa is helping it to grow. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure having you. So, Nancy, could you go first? Tell us about the backstory of Connery Consulting.
Sure. Thank you. And thank you for this opportunity. Connery Consulting, I'm very proud to say, is coming up on 20 years of existence. And that was after a 7-year tenure at Salesforce, where I was the founding VP of HR. You could call us crazy. Yes, I was employee number 5, and people said, why would you need a people person that early in the company? Fast forward today, Salesforce is still considered a people-oriented company. And I really credit Mark Benioff with really changing the way that the industry thought about the people ops function. And so fast forward to after Salesforce, I stepped back and said, how do we parlay this experience into helping a number of early stage companies that have these needs, typically and generally starting on the talent side, and then expanding into more the tactical and strategic sides of the people operations. And so really that was kind of the whole founding premise, was to be able to offer this boutique, very experienced level of service to these first-time entrepreneurs who had, quite a hill to climb and quite a journey. It was very common also for us to really get referred in by the investors who wanted to, of course, protect their investment and have seasoned experts around them. And so I always say it was a little bit of luck, a little bit of timing, and a little bit of experience all coming together very nicely. The other piece of the equation, as I thought about it, was also providing a forum and a workplace for people to be able to have a fulfilling career while also having a fulfilling life outside of work. And so after 7 years at Salesforce, you can imagine the number of hours that I never tallied up and never cared to, and I wouldn't change that journey for anything. But during the course of that time, I also had 2 children who are now grown and out of the house. But also another premise and idea was really, how do we provide careers and opportunities for people through these stages of their lives? And very proud to say that we've had multiple employees who've started off single, gotten married, have started families. And so really kind of bringing all of that together formed the vision for Connery.
Outstanding. And we'll come back to that in a moment, but I wanted Lorisa to have a chance to tell us about her journey at Connery. So, Lorisa, when did you join Connery? Did you have a family when you joined? And is everything that Nancy just said as good as it sounds?
Yes, I joined Connery in 2018. I was newly married but did not have children. Started as an HR consultant, grew into a senior HR consultant, and then now, as you mentioned, the HR manager. I had my first baby in 2020, right during the pandemic, and my second in 2022. I'm still here. It's a great place to work for people that really value work-life balance and really enjoy, I think, the nature of consulting and HR. Yeah, during my time, I've partnered with about 25 clients now, and mostly smaller startups, tech, biotech, fintech, but also larger companies in different industries. So yeah, I feel like it's really accelerated my professional growth tremendously, being a consultant and being at Connery.
Excellent. And one follow-up question, Larissa. You started out as a consultant. Now you're the human resources manager. As I mentioned, you're helping the firm grow by, I assume, bringing in more talent. Do you also still do client work?
I do. Yeah, I still spend a majority of my time helping clients in a consulting capacity. And then in addition to that, trying to grow our HR team internally and help the business find new clients and new business.
Outstanding. Nancy, you recently promoted Larissa. How come?
I am a huge proponent of promoting from within. And I am very pleased to say that my entire management team, which is not large because we're not a very large firm, but has been promoted from within. I believe that, I believe in rewarding for hard work. I believe also that you want people to want to be where they are. And progression is a large, and recognition are very large parts of that. Larissa has been an outstanding employee for us. She's been with us through multiple different phases and stages of the business and in the industry, let's say, the ups and the downs of the industry, as we all know, and really been a very, very, very steady resource for us. And at the same time, she's also shown the initiative of wanting to do more.
That's fabulous. So you've come from a background of running large HR shops, and yet even though you're the CEO of this firm, it sounds like you started out with principles that you've adhered to and that you live every day. Larissa is living proof of you, a great place to work, a great place to grow, and a great place to contribute, if I can summarize. Did I get that about right?
Yes. And one of my biggest ethos and guiders, I should say, is the idea that I really think that you manage and you lead how you want to be managed and led. And so even when you're about to deliver a difficult message, to an employee, you have to step back and think about, well, if somebody was giving me this message, how would I take it? And is there a way that I can say it that's better, beneficial, and could be a learning experience? So that is very core to us at Connery as well.
It sounds like it. And Larissa, from your time as an HR consultant growing into this current role, you've not only had an opportunity to learn how Connery delivers for its clients, I imagine shape some of that delivery, but now attract others into delivering that program. So when you're speaking to a candidate who might want to join Connery or become part of that culture, what are some of the things that those candidates are attracted to or that you sell them on?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I would say the professional development and growth that comes with being a consultant, I think it's very natural because you're exposed to different companies at different stages across various industries. You're really not having 2 days that are the same because there are no two clients that are the same. So for somebody who doesn't want to be in the monotonous kind of day to day, the same thing over and over, I think it's a really great opportunity. And also, I do let them know it's definitely not for everybody. I mean, there's a lot of context switching, there's a lot of reprioritization, knowing how to handle different clients that might have different communication styles or just different needs. We really pride ourselves on personalizing our approach to those clients. And so when I'm interviewing, I'm kind of looking for those through conversation. How are they communicating? How are they presenting? Could I put them in front of a client and feel confident that they're going to represent Connery? And in addition to that, I would also say, as Nancy mentioned, when you're working at a startup or a different organization, sometimes the hours expected can be a lot. And maybe you're the only HR support. So you're expected to answer an email or a Slack or a phone call after hours on the weekend. And while we do that when we need to, I think a huge benefit of working at Connery is the work-life balance and pursuing your family goals, as Nancy mentioned earlier.
Perfect. So you just mentioned startup. Nancy, if I could flip back, you're quite proud of the company you've built from startup to where it is today. But many of your clients, as you said, have been some well-known startups. When do they typically bring you in, and how long do you typically grow with them? I looked with envy at some of the names: Airbnb, Dropbox, Instacart, Facebook, Twitter, Zendesk. Where are they engaging you? How are they engaging you? Who have you stayed with the longest?
Well, that is a great list that you just rattled off, because those have all been multi-year clients that we have started with before most people had even heard of those companies. In fact, when we started working with Dropbox, as an example, we would talk to people about the company and they would say, drop who, drop what, are they doing, who are those guys? And that was even the case with Airbnb. It was another example. We started working with them, when they were in their first apartment that had been actually where, Brian and Nate had lived, and they were like starving students and trying to like make ends meet in San Francisco. And we're like, we have to come up with a way to live here. And hence the birth of Airbnb. And it's very interesting. If you look at our website, you say, wow, they really work with large enterprise, mostly public companies. Yes, we have some of those, but we start working with those companies before that stage. And so, for us, really the typical client, and there's, as Lorisa said, no two clients are necessarily the same for us, but the kind of right starting point, if I had to kind of really, specify that, would be really after they've gotten some funding. So they have a product. It doesn't necessarily have to be big in the market yet, but they have a path and they've raised funds and they're in growing and scaling mode. And the rest kind of follows from there. And because of the breadth and the depth of the experience that we have on our team, and also the different arms and areas of our business and our expertise, we can really grow with and stay with those companies. Many of our clients even, still call us back today. They can call us back for, Instacart as an example, can call us back for a project. They can call us back when somebody goes out on a leave and they need us to come in and stand in as a resource for them. So I would say there's no real point at which often we will even hire ourselves out. We'll hire in a people ops team and we'll still be there in one capacity or another.
Certainly a testament. When you think they might have outgrown you, that they still think of you and want to call you because they know they can trust you, and frankly, you're a partner, a trusted partner in their business. It sounds like.
Yes.
So, Lorisa, what's a challenging day for you? What's a day when you say, hadn't seen this before? Or just give me an example of something recently where you said, you know what, didn't see that one coming.
I would say I currently support around 7 clients. And and this has happened occasionally, there are kind of fire drills at all of them or most of them all at the same time. That can be a little bit hectic. Like, let's just say hypothetically, a company needs to do an immediate termination, needs to happen now, cause whatever. At the same time, I'm supporting another client on a meeting through something else. And then let's say something else even pops up. We're onboarding at this client and they don't have their laptop or anything, like that. So I would just say that can definitely be, a little bit stressful, but I like to think I've mastered my ability to context switch and reprioritize as needed. And I think too, I'm stepping into this new role. So I think kind of understanding more on the business side, how things work, in addition to supporting my clients, in addition to growing the team, is a fun and unique challenge that I'm really looking forward to.
That sounds like quite the stretch, because some of the things that you mentioned, that immediate termination, the laptop didn't show up for orientation, that's challenging when you're working in one company. But then working across and then remembering, oh, I've got that lunchtime meeting with Nancy and we're going to talk about strategy or how we're growing this thing over here. That's again, kudos to you to be able to juggle all that, be able to handle that 7 clients at once, plus those internal responsibilities. That's no small feat. So good for you.
Thank
Nancy,
you.
who handles resourcing between the projects? Is that something that is also on Larissa's plate, or do you, how is that done? Just curious.
We all do.
We all do. Okay.
So
Sure.
it's really interesting, to touch on that piece of, we all do everything. We are scrappy. We leave the egos at the door. There is no project too big, no project too small. Right before this, I was working on an offer that we're about to put out for an exec search that I just did, so we all do client work, which is very fun, in my opinion. And then We all at the management level as well really work on the resourcing and what that looks like. And I call that our giant puzzle. We have a weekly management meeting where a lot of it is talking about the resourcing as well. And so it's just a very open, ongoing dialogue. We all have one-on-ones together too to discuss the resourcing. And so there is not a day in the life at Connery where you do not have a resourcing conversation if you are at the management level.
That's fair. Lorisa, what tools do you have to help you build giant puzzles or solve giant puzzles or things like that? You've worked with some amazing companies. You must have amazing tools at Connery. And I'm not asking you to give away any secret sauce, but just, I don't know, what's your favorite tool maybe that you've implemented or that you rely on in the last year or two?
That is a good question. I think if you're talking about resourcing and getting new business, like Nancy mentioned, we're very small and scrappy. A lot of it is word of mouth and referrals. And in addition to that, I think LinkedIn is a great resource for one. Getting our name out there, really trying to, show what we can do, as well as looking for jobs that, maybe someone is hiring and they can't find the right fit immediately. Maybe we can come in and support short term, and sometimes that even turns into longer term engagements. That is a piece that I'm still working on and kind of learning the ropes with. So I think a lot of it though is really just kind of promoting the business and trying to be more visible.
A key part of being a human resource manager is being sometimes the face of the company. And it sounds like you've embraced your role not only in how do I help my clients be more visible through their talent acquisition process, but you're taking on the same challenge at Connery.
Sure.
Fair
Yeah.
to say? Okay.
Yeah.
I know I'm playing ping pong here, so I hope you don't mind. Nancy, I can see it's your turn. I have a question about split. So I saw on your website that you do contingent search, compensation, executive search, general recruitment, and human resources. Is there a general, through the years, we tend to do more of this, less of this, and or, if you want to answer it a different way, what's your favorite?
Well, that would be like asking me what my favorite child is. So I
I
can't
know.
answer that one.
Okay, good.
I love all the areas of our business, and really kind of one of the founding principles of the business was to be able to offer all of these different areas and pillars at the expert level. And so, the way that we really think about it is kind of the three core areas. And there's the talent arm, and under the talent arm exists our exec search, our embedded, and then our contingent. And there is crossover on our clients for sure. I would say historically, we have always had the largest number of consultants on the talent side, because that is obviously with our client base being not only technology companies, but heavily in the tech area. Obviously, a lot of companies start with the growth and the scaling side of the equation. Then we have the HR people ops team, which is what Lorisa handles and oversees. And for us, that has always been a very, very steady part of our business with kind of a wide range of clients. As Lorisa said, she has 7 active clients right now. They're not full-time clients. So we can support them kind of akin to how a lawyer supports an organization in some ways. Or we can go in and we can be their in-house HR at the exec level, all the way to HRBPs at Dropbox, which I referenced earlier as well. We had an employee of ours who was an HR business partner for over 3 years there. We also, on the HR side, do a lot of very project-based work too. And that can be, whether it's change management, looking at the organization, rolling out performance reviews. So naturally, that's a very project-oriented side of the business. And then on the compensation side, in 2020, we actually spun that off into OpenComp, which is our sister company, and productize that part of the business. So that actually sits as its own company, sister company to Connery. I am the founder of both of them. And that was really built off of a very successful compensation consulting practice that we had built. And that was manually done with people, whereas we decided to productize that. And laying all that out is kind of the why and how that we have these long tenures with companies, as you can see, because we can grow and scale and address their needs as experts at very lengthy and different stages of their growth cycle and business.
Got it. That makes great sense. And thank you for laying it out that way. A question just popped into my head, and I'm not going to direct it to anybody in particular, but we hear a lot about some pretty substantial layoffs that have hit the technology industry. And I imagine it's had some impact on your client base. Can either of you speak to not specifics, but just the shifting landscape
Sure.
that you're
I will
seeing?
gladly take that one.
Okay.
If you even just look at the last, let's say, 5+ years of the landscape for any services organization, we had COVID that kind of started, if you think about 2020, and everybody kind of froze. Then there happened to be this boom, after COVID. And then after COVID and the boom, then it halted. And then now we're seeing an AI boom. So we're kind of the experts, if you will, at different stages of, I guess, the world. And how do I have the type of mind that's always 10 steps ahead, right? So it's an AI boom right now. So where do you think my mind is? Like, what's coming next? What's the next stage that we're going to be at? And how can we be best equipped to service our clients that way? One of the beauties of our business is that we have such a wide range of engagements and breadth of experience that if there's not as much hiring going on and it's more layoffs, we're still experts in that as well. And so we did a lot of layoffs, as you can imagine, a lot of restructurings over the last few years. Who do you think is the first vendor that they might call to once they go to that stage where they're back in growth mode? So that's part of what we've seen as most recent cycles.
Got it. Lorisa, what are you seeing in addition to what Nancy just said? Maybe that's a new type of ask within your clients or things that you need to sharpen up as you go. For example, I imagine you're placing more AI talent, but I also know or imagine that there's a huge demand. So maybe it's getting used to shorter tenures of service or quicker turn on filling those key roles that help us stay competitive during a boom. Are you seeing any things like that affecting the day-to-day of the services you and your team deliver?
I think that, especially on the recruitment side of the business, I'm positive that they are definitely looking for different talent now to kind of complement AI and what's happening now. And on the HR side of that, I think there's trainings that can happen to make sure that employees are utilizing AI tools. They know how to use the AI information that they have, so they're not kind of left behind. And they're also learning as we kind of move into this new AI era. But yeah, I definitely think it's impacted the recruitment side just from a hiring perspective. I think on my side, it's really more of just helping employees navigate, helping firms navigate, helping organizations navigate that this is here to stay. This is something we all need to learn about. This is something that you really can't miss the mark on, or you're going to get left behind. So like I said, there's like a training element to that. Also, making sure organizations are using tools, or whether that's integrated through Slack or email, or they're using ChatGPT, making sure that we're kind of letting them know what's out there and what they can be utilizing.
Great answer. Thank you. Nancy, we're getting close to the end of our time. Is there anything I forgot to ask about today or anything else that you'd like to observe or opine on for the benefit of the community? As you think ahead to the next 1 to 5 years, what keeps you up at night?
Well, lots of things keep me up at night, but
Okay.
but as I kind of referenced, really thinking about what is next, because we have kind of these 2 to 3 year cycles, if you will. And you go kind of from boom, then it's quiet, restructuring. And for me, it's how do we stay ahead of that, and how do we continue to have the best experts possible to help companies through the good times, the hard times, and make the good times even better and the hard times as easy as they possibly can be. And then also, how do we continue to have a company that, you know, has really a very big impact on a lot of companies? That's very important. And then equally as important to me is, how do we continue to build incredible careers here at Connery with our consultants?
I think that's a great place to close, because we were fortunate to have Lorisa on the call today with us, embodying that ethos that you set out early on, that you wanted a place where people had work-life balance, could start as an HR consultant, grow into a role of greater contribution, work into becoming a member of the team that's shaping what's next. So, Larissa, it's been wonderful to have you. Nancy, thank you so much. Thank you both. If somebody heard something today that they'd like to follow up on or would like to get in touch with you, how would you like us to reach out?
They can feel free to email us personally.
Okay.
And they can very easily find our emails. You know, it usually starts with our first names in both of our cases, Larissa and myself. So mine, as an example, is Nancy at ConneryConsulting.com. Larissa at ConneryConsulting.com.
Okay. I'll include those when we publish the episodes, as well as, if you don't mind, I'll include your LinkedIn addresses so people can reach out to one or both of you on LinkedIn, as well as the website address. And earlier, Larissa mentioned that Connery has a contact us page on there. So, all right.
We do.
Thank you both so much for your time today. Larissa, congratulations on making it through your first podcast. I don't know about
Thank
Nancy,
you.
but I thought your answers were terrific and that you represented Connery extremely well. So, congratulations on your promotion. Nancy, congratulations on 20 years of success. And I've enjoyed having both of you on the podcast today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.